Radiant team pick.
Hello guys, welcome back to another draft analysis. I'm Ace, and yeah, now we're into game 2 of Navi versus VGJ.Thunder. In game 1 I mentioned that Navi had a better draft, and yeah, they did. The VGJ's lineup just feels all over the place, they don't synergize with each
10
other.
seconds remaining.
Yes, they might have a game plan of dominating the early game and then snowball from there.
5
But even
seconds
then,
remaining.
they are up against a Lina high ground,
Radiant
a
team
PL split
pick.
push, and it just feels like it's not gonna work against Navi of all teams. Navi likes the early aggression. Maybe they feel like they just have to win Navi in the early game and they can win, but that was definitely not what happened. Navi knows how to play passive as well. They know how to not fight. They can just farm on their PL Lina, which they
10
did, and then they
seconds
just became
remaining.
way too strong for VGJ.Thunder to fight. It
5
was a pretty
seconds
straightforward game
remaining.
1. And now moving to game 2, we have VGJ.Thunder with the first pick this time. They ban Chen and Enchantress again. Navi, on the other hand, they ban Veno and Night Stalker. This time around, they decided to ban the Night Stalker because they don't have first pick and they don't want to give it to VGJ.Thunder. And ROTK has been seen drafting for VGJ side because the coach can draft for can be with the team during the drafting phase. So yeah, he's just sitting down, being the drafter during the drafting phase. Okay, so VGJ.Thunder, they go for the first pick of Spirit. I think this is partly denying Navi's pick as well as
Radiant team
wanting to
back.
pick a more aggressive position for themselves as compared to the Kunkka. The Kunkka,
Dire
although his
team
boat
back.
and Torrent were like really good that game, it seemed to be the only thing working for them in game 1. But it didn't synergize with their lineup as I mentioned.
Radiant team back.
So yeah, they decided to go for a Spirit which can contribute much more in the fights
Dire
and in
team
the early
back.
game as well. Navi, they respond with Clockwork as well as Ricky. Ricky has been Roger's surprise pick. How should I say? I think he's really good with this hero, and teams acknowledge it, but they don't really pick it up in Navi unless they feel like it's a really good game.
Radiant
So
team pick.
like every once in a while, they'll
Dire
just pick
team pick.
Roger his Ricky, and he'll do a lot with it. And they also go for Generous Clockwork, which he's known to be extremely good on it. The only thing sometimes I don't like about the off-lane Clockwork is that you tend to fall off in the late game, especially after teams get BKB and Force Staff. But in general, he's able to put a lot of pressure in the early game such that he makes the Clockwork pick worth it. And then they have this Ricky, which can scale late game. So although the Clockwork will fall off, they have a position force support that can make use of the extra space to farm as well as harass. And they mix up for each other in a way that Ricky can scale later, and he takes over that position 3 from the Clockwork. Another point I have to mention that Clockwork and Ricky, they synergize very well because like Clockwork, where he cocks somebody in and then you just smoke cloud on top of it, it's like a guaranteed kill. Any heroes that can usually blink out or let's say leap out or anything, they can't do it anymore unless they get a 4 staff. So this game, VGJ.Thunder is going to need a lot of 4 staffs against the lineup of Navi. It's good against Clockwork, it's good against Ricky, and it's even good against AA because of the cold fit. So yeah, this is going to be a 4 staff gaming game for VGJ. And they go back for their Death Prophet, which I mentioned. They really love this pick on their mid hero. It's their top pick hero in the current patch. And ever since their form, they haven't been formed very long with this lineup, but ever since their form, they really love this DP pick. Like, it's their number 1 priority. And Navi, they ban away Broodmother as well as Omni Knight. VGJ.Thunder is one of the few teams that still run Omni Knight offlane on Yang. And yeah, so VGJ.Thunder, they decided to ban away Bloodseeker as well as Lina. Lina targeting towards Dendi, who played extremely well, is one of his best hero. And Bloodseeker, just a really strong hero. And the pickup of Anti-Mage from VGJ.Thunder makes me feel that this was a preemptive ban, that they don't want the Bloodseeker to counter the Anti-Mage. Because Anti-Mage is one of the best counter. As in, Bloodseeker is one of the best counter to Anti-Mage just because of how powerful Rupture is against him. And yeah, Navi goes back for Crystallized Faceless Void. I mentioned it many times. Faceless Void is one of his top 3 heroes, and pairing up together with AA is really strong. So they have Ricky, Maru and Clockwork creating all the early game pressure. And they got the team fight potential from the AA Faceless Void as well. And Ricky providing this vision that is really needed in a team with big fight team fight ultimate, because you need to know where your opponents are to be able to get a good chronosphere. So this Ricky is there to give vision. There's also Clockwork Rocket Flare that can give this extra vision. So yeah, Navi's lineup is really synergizing very well together. And
10 seconds
on top of
remaining.
synergizing very well, they're also their comfort heroes. It's very nice to see
5
Navi drafting like
seconds
that.
remaining.
They're not only drafting heroes that are very comfortable, and they're all making sense. It's like there's a plan to their draft. It's not like VGJ.Thunder first game's draft where there was no plan at all. It felt very all over the place, as I say. Okay, so Navi, they decided to ban the last, as in ban the Doom last ban against Yang. I guess Navi relies a lot on this Faceless Void in the team fights, and if the Faceless Void gets Doom, then the whole team fight kind of crumbles for Navi, so they don't want to have to be able to have this risk of going up against a Zoom. Yeah, and I forgot to mention that VGJ.Thunder did pick up the Bouncy Hunter. Bouncy Hunter is like usually known to be a counter to Ricky Maru. As in not really counter, but they kind of do the same thing. So like
Dire
if
team pick.
which team does it better, it's going to have more impact in the early game. And VGJ.Thunder, they have a position 5 Esprit and a position 4 Bounty, so they are planning to do this double roaming. And I'm a bit worried for this double roaming style when you have an anti-mage, because
10 seconds
Navi is able to
remaining.
put a very be able to contest this anti-mage.
5
But that being said,
seconds
because they
remaining.
already know that General is on this Clockwork, so I guess they are even fine on putting anti-mage against Clockwork 1v1. And it depends on whether Navi can put on the pressure with the Rikimaru.
Radiant team.
And also because how this game, how the game plan is going to, how the playstyle of both teams are going to happen, there are going to be a lot of fights in the early mid game. And Bouncy Hunter is really good at providing the vision as well as giving track goal kills. And that is one additional aspect that the Bouncy Hunters will be really good at this game. And now on top of the Legion Commander which they last picked,
5 seconds
it
remaining.
allows them to pick off heroes. Like this Legion Commander has the same purpose as this Doom. They want to totally shut down this Faceless Void, which is very crucial in their lineup. If they manage to get a duo on this Faceless Void and burst him down with whatever they have on their team, then without the Chronosphere or without anything, the other 3 heroes on Navi, Clockwork, Ricky, SRA, they won't be able to do much. And so now this last pick for Navi is going to be very important. They need something that can scale and can pair very well with Faceless Void. And I'm going to make a guess, it's going to be Outward Devourer. We haven't seen Dendi play that hero very often, but first of all, it's very good against DP in lane. It's not very good, it's decent against DP in lane. It's a 50-50 matchup. And then it's very good in terms of having the extra imprisonment defensive mechanism to save whoever Legion Commander jumps on with the duel. So if they jump on FV, Dendi can save him with the Astral. But if they jump on Dendi, then FV can come in with the Chronosphere. So I think that's a very good two-way save mechanic for Navi. And on top of that, it's very good when paired up with a Faceless Void. If you can get right clicks off in the Chronosphere, you can get off a very huge ultimate in the fights. So instead they go for the Magnus. They decided to go for something more comfortable. Although I think the OD was really a very suitable pick here, but I think they choose to go for a more suitable pick. They did a very similar lineup of Faceless Void plus Magnus in the match yesterday. I think they won against Minieski with this lineup. Empower works very well with Faceless Void. He is able to farm much faster. But with this lineup now, I feel that Navi is very all in on this Faceless Void, and if VGJ.Thunder is able to shut him down in the fights with, let's say, duel or whatever, it's going to be very hard for Navi to take the fight. So this game, a lot of them lies on the shoulders of Crystallize. He needs to not get picked off. He needs to get an early Lincoln Sphere for sure. But even then, there's Track that can easily break Lincoln. So Track into Blink Duel is a very dangerous thing for Navi. They have to watch out. That being said, their early game is really strong with the Clockwork on General, Roger on his Rikimaru roaming, and it really depends on the rotations between all the supports this game. Honestly, I would still have preferred the Outward Devourer for Dendi, but I guess they prefer going for a more comfortable pick on the Magnus, and yeah, let's see. Dendi didn't play a very good Magnus yesterday though, even though they won. And we have to see whether he can match up I guess one understanding is with the Empower, Faceless Void should be able to match up to the anti-mage in terms of farm, and that's very important. I think it's a very even draft, maybe slightly favored towards VGJ.Thunder because of how all in they are on the Faceless Void. But if Dendi is, if
Prepare
Navi is
for
able
battle.
to take team fights the way they do, like they very clutch team fighting capabilities, then yes, maybe they have a chance. But overall, in terms of the more stable draft, the more safer draft, I would say VGJ.Thunder have the slight advantage there. Yep, that's all for game 2. I hope you liked this draft analysis, and please subscribe and like the video as well. Thank you.